So one thing that we forgot to do, or I forgot to do in the beginning, was to add the clouds to the screen. And the way the clouds are going to work, if we go ahead and take a look at the original, the clouds, they float from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen. They float behind the bird and the characters, and you can see that they are different sizes. Some are big, some are small, and they appear in random locations, on the y-axis. So we're going to go ahead and implement that at the moment, and it goes a little something like this. We're going to of course start with the green flag, and on the green flag we are going to hide our cloud, original cloud, and all the clouds that are going to appear floating to the left are all going to be clones, right? So we can do forever. Maybe we can do the forever when we start the game, and we start the game when we change our backdrop to level 1, right? So let's do that, and we can say under control we can go to create clone of myself, but that will create like quite a few clones, right? Because remember, this forever loop goes 60 times a second, so that would like fill the screen with clouds. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a wait block in here, maybe wait. And if we go into operators, I think this is the first time that we're using pick random, and let's go ahead and use pick random. And we could say here pick random between 0 and 3 seconds. That way the clouds kind of, sometimes a couple appear and sometimes only one appears, right? So now we need to code the portion where they start as clones. So I'm going to go to control and grab when I start as clone. And what's the first thing I want to do? Well, the original one is hidden, so I want to show the clouds, and then I want them to float to the left of the screen, right? But remember, I want them to float until they touch the right edge, and when they touch the right edge, I want them to go away. Or I'm sorry, the left edge, I want them to go away. And the only way to do that is say repeat until touching edge, right? But then if we do that, it's going to be touching the right edge and it will disappear right away. So remembering the trick that we used on the birds, we're going to first get the clouds off of the edge, and then we will use the repeat until, right? So let's go ahead, come here and say repeat 10 times. Go to motion and say change x by, and I'm going to turn it to a negative number like -5, so that it moves towards the left side of the screen. Not only that, but I'm also going to do a go to XY. Right. On the X, 550, that sounds good. It's on the far right side of the screen. But the Y, we want it to be random. We want it to be sometimes up at the top of the screen, sometimes down at the bottom. So we're going to use this same pick random. So we go back to operators, grab the pick random, stick the top left corner of it in the Y's box. And what are the random numbers that we want? Well, if we remember in our backdrops, how is our XY coordinate system set up? The center of the screen on the Y-axis, the up and down, is 0, and the bottom of the Y-axis is -180, and the top of the Y-axis is -180. Is positive 180. And these numbers represent the number of pixels or number of dots of light that are on the screen, right? So if we're here at 100, that means there's 100 pixels from the center of the screen to this point here, right? And there's 180 pixels from here to the top of the screen. And so what we want to do is we want the clouds to appear from here down to here, right? So let's go ahead and use a number of 160 and -160 to get to from the top to the bottom. Okay, so let's go back to clouds. Actually, let's get rid of that backdrop, and let's go back to the cloud. We will, if you look at the clouds, actually we have two kinds of clouds. We have, this one's for level 1, this one's for level 2. So we want to use the level 1 cloud, right? So let's go to looks, and we'll say switch costume to, actually we'll do it right here. We'll switch costume to level 1, cloud 1, because that's for level 1, right? Later, when we implement level 2, we're going to say when backdrop switches to level 2, switch costume to cloud number 2. right? So then when it starts as a clone, it will start as either the cloud for level 1 or the cloud for level 2. Right? We don't want to put switch cloud to cloud 1 here, right? Or else it will always be cloud number 1 when it starts as a clone. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and put that back. And okay, right here at the negative, so it's gonna be 160 to negative 160, and let's see how that looks. I'll click on this. Oh, okay, so that didn't work out. It looks like they're getting stuck on the right edge, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. I still need to complete this algorithm, right? So we have the repeat 10 times, and let's go ahead and do that a little bit more. Let's do repeat 15 times to get off of the edge. And then we're gonna go to control and say repeat until. We'll go to sensing and say touching edge. And we're going to do the same thing, right? Duplicate, and we'll do that. Okay, looks like the clouds are moving a little fast, so I'm going to do -2 here instead of -5. And let's try that again. Whoa, not that. Let's hit this button. Okay, so since it's -2 and it's moving slower, I need to put more repeats on this repeat so that it gets off of the edge, right? And so let's see, is that going to work? Okay, so the clouds are moving to the left, and now I want to make sure that they are different sizes, right? So I can go to looks here, and I can say set size to right here, and of course I want them to be different sizes, so I'm going to pick a random number, and I'm going to put here 30 to 60, and I'll click this to see if that works out. It looks like it's working pretty good. I think they should be coming out a little bit slower, so maybe I do a -1 here, a -1 here, and I'll switch this up to 60, and I will click on this to test it. Yeah, that looks pretty good.